Hey.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
So you were able to answer okay?
I had to.
Sorry, what did you say? You had to what?
I had to go look for the link. It didn't just come through as a call like last time.
It didn't. That's weird. I've sent it out like 3 times. I don't know. I'll just share this link, Command C, to the chat.
Yeah, that should work.
I don't know why it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Okay, good. Looks like everyone get on now. Okay. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I think next time I'll just send out that link via chat or email because it doesn't seem like inviting people to the call always works really well.
No.
Yeah, I don't know why that is exactly. Okay, I'll send this to Dan since he's not here.
Hey, Whitney, do you know if you're on Google Hangouts or Hangouts on Air?
I'm on Hangouts Air. I think the first one, I don't know why, because I clicked on the same thing. The first one was not a Hangouts on Air, so I had to close that one, and then I just clicked it again, and it worked. I don't know. So that might have been why you were like in another Hangout or something.
Okay.
I just clicked on the same link, so I don't really know. It's some kind of glitch. Okay. Does somebody else want to try to chat Dan or send an email or something?
Sure.
Okay, I don't know. Should we just start without him? Okay, good. Dan's here now.
We may as well get started.
It says that Dan's here now, so that seems good.
Sweet.
Okay. So it looks like, Allie, did you do the second team meeting agenda?
Yeah, I threw some stuff on there.
Okay. Well, thanks for doing that. Okay, so was everybody able to do their, like, work on their project? Okay.
I think I got everything. The only thing I didn't understand for the app, for the seminary app, was the Ajax. I wasn't certain how we were going to use that.
Ajax is what Ajax works with JSON, right? So if you're using JSON, you're using Ajax because one feeds the other.
Okay.
It's kind of what I got from reading.
Wait, what did you say about Ajax? If you use what, you're using the other?
With JSON. So one, like, either JSON feeds Ajax or Ajax parses to JSON. I can't remember which way it goes, but they work together.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so are we just okay submitting our proposals through Google Doc? Because he said you can use a variety of ways to propose it. So is everyone okay with doing that?
I think it's the simplest.
I think so too. And I don't think it needs to be much more than what we've already done.
Yeah.
So I think the important part is that everybody fills in their part, and then the other team members kind of like read through it and see if it makes sense and like all grammatical correction stuff. So I don't know. Should we start with the crap app really quick? Do you want to go over that?
I think, and we don't have to do this, but I think if ever we just want to just trust everyone to just go in and fill it in by a certain time today, then we can all get it submitted. Because I think we all have to submit it still.
Okay. Yeah.
But we can go over everything individually if we want. It's just if we wanted to save the time. But
Okay. What time should we say for it to be done by?
I don't care.
I was kind of hoping we could look at each other's parts while we were all on here this morning, but is that not what's happening?
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I
haven't had a chance to do my part yet.
Okay. Do you need help with your part, or you just?
No, I've just been sick, and wife's sick, and everybody's sick.
Okay.
Well, how about we go over anybody who feels like they need help with their part, and we can go over those and clarify any questions on anybody's parts. Because like my first two, I mean, they're more obvious, and so I'm not like.
So which methodology are you recommending then, Sierra?
I was just using the methodology, just the ones that he emphasized in the class that he wants, because like in the syllabus, he kept saying the software development process we're going to focus on in this class, the simple development process we're going to use in this class is the first think, second design, third create test, fourth create solution. So I was just going to just write about each four of those and just kind of how. I didn't use like a specific methodology. I just was going over the four development parts that he kept emphasizing.
Okay.
And just kind of answer questions about that and kind of talk about how we would use how we would go about each of those parts.
Yeah, that's good. I wrote, that was my assignment too, and I wrote like that thinking includes like, you know, some of the research behind the app and like brainstorming and stuff, and the design is like not just how it looks, but the logical flow of your app and stuff, and then it's front and back end design.
I also had in the design like creating like wireframes and mock-ups and stuff.
Okay.
Because the big part about, and this was part of my teaching that I'm doing today because I'm teaching about these, about about how the biggest part about designing an app is the first thing you need to do is create just like basic wireframes before you even start really designing anything. So you need to figure out how exactly it's going to be laid out before you really get too far into it. Otherwise, it's just going to slow you down.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be very verbose. It's just kind of concise and.
Right. Very simple wireframes.
Yeah.
One is exactly what kind of JavaScript objects we would have included in the crap app, where JavaScript would need to be incorporated.
Well, the objects would call. So if the question had a corresponding answer, then I think you would use the JavaScript object. That would be how it was calling that answer. Is that?
Okay.
And maybe you could have like different categories, and each category is like each category is like a object. So I don't know, that like a category, and then and then the properties could be like the questions and the answers or something like that.
I know we had talked about, Sierra, in your presentation, you didn't have like a sketch, so I wasn't really sure layout-wise what you meant. But I was wondering if we couldn't do something like a roll of toilet paper in the back of a toilet, and you roll the toilet paper to pick a question, and you flush the toilet to get the answer, or something that uses, screen touching to make it happen. But so, since it is a one-page app, it stays the same, and just the information changes.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't care. I did originally have like a very simple sketch. I didn't ever screen share it when I made my pitch, but it was pretty simple. But I like that idea though. That's funny. Anyway, okay, cool. That answered my question.
Okay. Is there anything else about the crop out?
Anybody have questions on their section?
No, I think we're good. You guys want to tell us what you've got for the scripture app?
Sure. I can screen share it. Oh, actually, this is not the right one. Okay, so I want to talk with you and Maxine about this. I think I'm just going to copy and paste what you had on your document with the document in the folder, because I think it's just easier to have it in the Teams folder, but I couldn't figure out how to add your document to the Teams folder. If you can figure that out, then that's fine.
I couldn't figure it out either. I was trying to do it last night or this morning, and I was trying to follow the instructions, and I couldn't folder.
Yeah.
So I'll try again and see.
I'm just going to copy and paste. I think that'll be the easiest way.
I tried copying and pasting, but has anybody had an issue with copying and pasting in Google Docs? Because I think I haven't been able to do it before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll just take all my information there and just, type it on there. It's not that big a deal.
I copy and pasted mine from, well, here, let me give it a try real quick. Wait, maybe I'll try it later.
Yeah, I'll end up just putting my whatever I typed up onto the document you have in the folder.
Okay, anyway, so the scripture tracker app, we talked about like a little bit different of a design. I mean, I just drew something up real quick, and it's kind of like, it's interactive, and like, well, for me, I have a Fitbit, and when I use the app, there's like a lot of different things your app can track on the Fitbit, and but it has like all the really pertinent information right, like the first thing you see, first thing you click or whatever. So I was kind of trying to think of something like that for the scripture tracker. And like what you want to see right away is like what scripture you're on, or like how many you've read, or how many you've left. And then I was thinking then you could click on that and then I was thinking that you could like, and then that would like drop down into more information or more things you can click on. Okay, I'm sorry. And then, so that was just like an idea. I think it's good to come up with like a few, like whatever one we pick, it's good to come up with a few different mock-ups just to kind of like, I don't think the best thing. Mine were pretty easy topics, so I didn't really have any questions, but did anybody else, like Garrett or Maxine?
I already got my answered, so I'm good.
You're okay. I haven't looked over everybody's, but yeah, let's just have like a time for everybody to look over the different proposals, and just like fix everything. So let's pick 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that'll be 4 Central and 2. That's okay with everybody.
4 o'clock time.
3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we should have the is anybody ready to go first?
Yeah. You want me to go since mine is the first topic anyway?
Sure.
Sorry, I was trying to. So I copied and pasted some of the stuff just so you know, Whitney, and I'll go back and fix it up so that it makes more sense.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want me to start, I'll go ahead and start. I'm going to share my screen because I did a power presentation, and to be honest, I hope I did this right because I went and looked at the resources that were available to us on one of the in one of the folders. So I just pulled information from that. Let me share this, and I'll just try to quickly go over this because it was a lot of information. So in this agile development, that's what was listed in the folders, and it talked about what it is. And so basically the agile development, it's a methodology. It's sorry, let me pull this up. So in this agile methodology, it's just a system of methods that's used in this area and just in this particular software development. It's a tool, it's a type of project management, it's a way to work as a team, and it's kind of, are you guys familiar with what the waterfall methodology was, where basically that one is they stick to a phase until that's completely done and then they move on. They don't move on until it's completely done. But with the agile methodology, it's a lot more flexible. It's iterative, and when they talk about tight cycles, they mean that they work on the project for a while, they see what they get, they revisit the plans, they make the changes, and then they start again, with a new iteration in about a week or two, and it's very open to changes. And when they talk about it being streamlined, it's one of the characteristics. They work together, their meetings are quick, and instead of lengthy pages of documentation of what they want and that, it's just very short, and it's brief, and it's also very fast-paced. And time boxing is also a characteristic of it. And what they mean by that is that they're not doing the work by features. Some of the different types of software development focuses on the features, but when it comes to agile methodology, they're actually working based on time. They have a set project to do in a few weeks, and if they're not done by that time, then that's what they turn in, and they're not going by a specific feature, trying to develop so many features in a certain period of time. And it's really collaborative. It's very team-oriented. They expect input from everyone. Now, how it works is, I think this is just an example that I saw that was mentioned, where if a client comes and says they want a weight loss application, so they start off with a lot of collaboration with the client. They are trying to find out what the client wants, what his requirements are, and with Agile, with this methodology, they do a lot of releases, and there's a lot of quick iteration, because what they do is they're releasing what they have early, and they're releasing very often. And when they do that, it allows the client to see where they are and the progress that they've made. So, but with this, developers are also not bound to the specifications that were originally given. For example, when it comes to budget, they can communicate about if if they've got a set budget and they go to the client says, well, they'd like to increase their budget, then the developers can actually talk to the client about the impact of increasing the budget. And so there's a lot of communication in this, and as the project continues to be developed. And when it comes to the budget, the developers can make suggestions on budget management, but the client is the one that's always ultimately in charge. So, and if you guys have any questions, you're free to just stop me. So some of the results of agile development is it's a better project. It results in a better project because there's continual development, continual improvement, and the developers, the clients, they're working together to stay within the budget. And what they need is honest. For this to work, the developers need to be honest, they need to be very collaborative, and the client has to be very open to change. It has to be smart, they have to be engaged, and to have a high tolerance for predictability, what's unknown. So some of the disadvantages are or what I've listed here. Collaboration, meaning that there's a lot of time commitment on everybody's part. There's frequent testing, which can actually increase cost resources. The case can be intense for the team because they're always turning something out. And it's difficult for brand new team members to come in during a different iteration because when they jump in, they don't have all the information from the previous iteration. So it makes it a little difficult for them to come. They don't exactly know what has happened before. So some of the advantages of Agile actually turn out to be can be some of the disadvantages that they face. But there are a lot of different types of Agile methods. The first one that was listed was the adaptive software development. And for this one, continuous adaptation is normal. They expect change all the time, and it has 3 repeating cycles: speculate, collaborate, and learn. And speculate is when that's when they're gathering information from the client, and the information they get there, they use it to base some of the rest of their project. And collaboration involves, the teamwork, and the learning process involves all of them kind of deliberately. What they do with that to learn is they input mistakes, deliberate mistakes, so that they can learn from them. And then so for this process, or for this repeating cycle for adaptive software development, they're really focused on mistakes so that they can master that. So the characteristics of ASD are that it's mission focused, it's based on features, not so much time. It's iterative, but it's also time boxed, meaning that they're going to their project is based on how much they're going to set a time frame to finish certain things. It's risk driven. It's very open to change. The next method, PowerPoint, is agile modeling, and this models and document software system are based on best practices. It's a collection of values and principles that can be applied to agile software development project. It's really flexible. It's good for fast-changing environments, and it's actually a supplement to the other methodologies that are listed in here. Software is delivered frequently. There's a lot of interaction between clients, developers, and testers, and there's continuous attention to excellence and good design, and regular adaptation to changing circumstances. So those are some of the characteristics of Agile model. There's another one called Agile Unified Process. This one is simple. It's easy to understand. That's the approach that it takes to develop software using these agile techniques. So with this one, it uses the agile techniques, but it's actually a simplified version of a different process called the Rational Unified Process. And this was actually superseded by the Delivery Agile Development, which is called DAD. So this one is no longer being evolved. It's not it's kind of, I don't want to call it an outdated process, but DAD has basically replaced this one. And we'll go into that a little bit later. So the philosophies that are associated with the Agile Unified Process, in this one, the staff knows what they're doing, and they'll get the documentation. They don't have to read it. The information is available to them, but it's up to them if they want to take it or not. And they with this one, they are expected to, on occasion, occasionally they'll want guidance from higher management. It's simple. And when they talk about simplicity, they're talking about a handful of pages of documentations instead of thousands. And its philosophy of agility means that it uses the Agile development software principles and values, and it's part of the Agile Alliance. It's focused on high-value activities. And when it talks about activities that count, it means that it's paying attention to what the business needs are, and not necessarily every single thing that you might encounter on the project. It's whatever counts. That's what its focus is. And for tool independence, it just means that with Agile Unified Process, you're expected to use whatever tool is best suited for the job. You're not going to get specific set of tools to use. It's just whatever suits that particular project. And it's tailored to meet its own needs of the project. For crystal clear software development, I thought this one was kind of interesting because it said that it was focused on people, and the efficiency and habitability are components of project safety. So it's concerned with project safety as well. And with this one, like the other ones, there's frequent delivery of usable code to users. Reflective improvement is, like I said, it's concerned about personal safety and growth. And easy to access. You get easy access to experts. There's automated tests, configuration management, and a lot of integration. And then this one, where it talks about osmotic communication. Basically, they want to put people in the same room. They're hoping that by being in the same room, these people are able to pick up information, just kind of like background noise, where they're in a room and they hear things going on to learn, hear information just by the same location. And we talked a little bit, or I mentioned disciplined agile delivery, or DAD, a little bit earlier. This is process decision framework. Its approach is very goal driven, and when it comes to choosing a work strategy, it's based on what's most important to the stakeholders. And your stakeholders include everyone that's involved in a project, from your customers to your project manager to your development team, your users, testers. And with discipline, with that, it describes the trade-offs of each strategy and discusses the viability of each. So, and also, their approach is also, you fail less by succeeding earlier, so they try to put out more, they'll turn out more, not product, but just when they're done with something, they'll release it to the client and move on from there, because they think that if they...
Hey, what's going on?
Is that?
Sorry. And so this is actually a hybrid because it streams, it combines streaming and scaling. The next one was dynamic systems method development. And this is where it prioritizes the project based on less shoulds, coulds, won't haves. It focuses on business needs, delivery time. There's a lot of collaboration. They don't want to compromise quality. And they're building incrementally from a very solid foundation. And development is iterative, and there's a lot of communication, and there's a lot of control. And their whole thing is demonstrating control. Move on to extreme programming from there. And this one is improved software quality and responsiveness to changing customer requirements. And its goal is to organize people to produce higher quality software. It tries to reduce the cost of change through a lot of short development cycles instead of one long cycle. And the activities in software development are coding, testing, listening, and designing. There are 5 values that extreme programming has. Communication, so that users and developers have the same view. So when it comes to communication, they want to make sure that the users have the same idea, that the developers have the same idea, so that everybody is working towards the same goal. And when it comes to simplicity, their approach is starting with a simple solution and then add extra functionality. They want to start with the simplicity that they possibly can and add from there. And when it comes to feedback, they're getting feedback from the system, from customers, and from team members. And when their value about courage, meaning have courage to design and for today, not tomorrow, and just work at it now and get it done. And when it comes to respect, it's respect for everyone, including yourself. And its principles, they nurture decisions in a project. They assume simplicity, meaning that they look at every single problem as having the simplest solution, and they embrace change and they encourage that instead of fighting change. And let's see, one of the other feature or methods is feature-driven development. This one is feature perspective driven, meaning that it's based on what features the client wants. And the purpose is to deliver working software repeatedly in a timely manner. It's a short iteration process with 5 basic activities where they're looking at developing the overall model, building the feature list, planning by feature, design by feature, build by feature. So this one is very feature driven. The lean software development, I thought this one was interesting because basically what this is, they're adding value, they're making what adds value obvious by reducing everything else. So with the lean software development, they are actually trying to get rid of whatever is considered not adding value is considered waste, and that's part of one of its principles. They're going to get rid of whatever doesn't add value to the project. Amplify learning, they speed up the process. With this, instead of deciding at the beginning, they're waiting to decide as late as possible in the project because they think that's a better way to go. But at the same time, they're expected to deliver the product as fast as possible. They believe in empowering the team, building integrity in and seeing the whole system, not just as the parts, but also the products. And when they talk about building integrity in, they're talking about how making sure that all parts of the system work together as a whole. Two more. Actually, 3 more. So the Kanban development. This one is a method for managing knowledge work. And when we talk about knowledge work, they're talking about people who think for a living. And so they're managing knowledge work with the emphasis on just-in-time delivery. Now, the just-in-time delivery is actually something that was used in the Toyota production system, where they're everything is available. The process is available for everyone who's involved to view, and the Kanban or development also dictates what's to be produced, when it's going to be produced, and how much it's produced. And its principles start with, whatever process exists at that time, and very open to change, and so that the entire team has to agree to pursue change. But while they're agreeing to pursue change, they're respectful of the current process, the role, responsibilities, and titles. And respect as part of their principle they use that because they want people to know that they respect where they currently are, and it's a way to get people to be open to change later on. And leadership at all levels is highly encouraged. So Scrum, you've probably heard of Scrum mentioned before, but this is also a manages product development. And with this, the customer can change his or her mind about his wants and needs. And that's referred to as requirements volatility. Scrum involves unpredictable challenges that aren't easily addressed by traditional means. There are 3 roles. There's a product owner, which includes the stakeholders, the voice of who happens to be the voice of the customer. Sorry, let me backtrack that. The product owner can be stakeholders. Product owner is also the voice of the customer, and the product owner should be on the business side. The development team is the one that does the work, and it usually consists of 3 to 9 people. The Scrum Master is the team facilitator. And Scrum Ban, it's actually a process that was used to transition from Scrum to Kanban. And the team uses principles, values, and philosophies of Scrum, but they actually use Kanban's concepts to understand and improve the project how they work. So they use Scrum, but to understand things better, they're using good use of Canada. So I know that was long, but that's agile development.
Wow, that's a lot of different
Yeah.
technologies you can use. Was there one that you noticed was more popular, or like, I don't know, more widely used?
There was so much, but it seems like Scrum is the one that's been used. I don't know, Dan, if you want to chime in and see, or if you have an opinion on that, since you've used it before. Those are, some of them aren't used as much. There were percentages of usage, but it seems like Scrum's the one that's been used. That seems to have been mentioned quite a bit.
It seems like we're going to be using time boxes since we're on a time.
Yeah. I think the thing that got me, or that stood out to me about the different processes, is that overall it's just really highly collaborative, and it's just a lot of sharing of information, quick iteration processes, where they want you to turn out things quickly so that you can, learn from that process, or learn from that iteration, improve the product, and move on. Some of it seems really quick-paced and kind of intense. But yeah, I like the idea that there's a lot of collaboration involved.
I like the idea of having a lot of different iterations of the design process.
Yeah.
Like always going over it.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have any questions for Maxine before we move on to the next presentation?
Are we going to try to keep track of presentations? Like, we're going to just put them up in our shared folder if people are producing PowerPoints, or how are we going to handle that?
I think that sounds like a good idea. Maybe we can create a folder within our team folder for presentations. And then, of course, your sandbox code needs to be to GitHub. Maxine doesn't have any sandbox code for hers, but like for the other presentations.
Speaking of the shared folders, can someone send me the link to the shared drive? Because whenever I try and find it, I always struggle. The only things I can seem to find are the team meeting minutes and the calendar for the topic. I can't find anything else.
Sure, I'll email it.
I just sent it in the Hangout.
That's in what? Oh,
The Hangout text.
Oh, cool.
And I added a folder already for the presentations. You can start dropping those in there when you want to. The lessons.
Perfect.
If I can interrupt for just a minute before you go on to the next topic. If I can answer any questions or help you out with anything, has anything come up that you guys need to have answered? Okay.
Actually, I have a question. Are there any links to like previous courses, portfolios that we could see to get an idea of how it should look, how it should be set up, kind of what it looks like as an end product?
What I might do, I could send some screenshots. I usually don't reveal any of those until towards the end of the semester, because I like to, because otherwise you can see the end product and you can go see the code and kind of just jump to the end game. But I can sure go grab some screenshots of what people have done for the front page of their portfolios.
That would be really helpful.
Some of them have been very simple. The graphic arts students tend to be a little more exotic and design crazy. the programmers are kind of boring, but they get the job done. But I could certainly send a couple of pictures on that.
And portfolios can be in a variety of like formats, right? It can be a document or a PowerPoint.
Well, the portfolios are actually a website where you would have a link to local storage, and I'd click on that link, and it would have 5 entry fields, and you hit a submit button, and it saves those that user information to the local storage.
So just like even just like a WordPress site or something.
As long as it's a standard kind of a website that you can get to from a mobile device. A lot of times through the course of the semester, I keep getting GitHub links, and I want to see the code in the wild, just like a normal individual out surfing the internet would be able to get to. So they don't have to be too fancy.
A question about, because like in our first meeting, had in the agenda picking a host, and so with our web app that we're making, will we be creating like a domain and actually putting it with a host? And
no, you don't need to spend money for another domain. Most of you have some domain already available that you've used for your other classes. Just create a CIT 261 subfolder underneath that and hang it off of there. That's fine. Don't spend another registration fee.
but we do need like a host like that, like Just Host or something.
Yeah, just something simple. Sometimes the free ones are painfully slow, and so check those out. There's some good ones out there, but somebody on the team no doubt has one already that you can.
Right. We use Just Host because I already have it. Okay, cool. Thanks.
So, all right.
So I'm sorry, can you, I didn't hear very well. So the portfolio is going to be on our website, and it's going to be a web page with links to different pages on the topics. Is that what you said?
Yes, something like that would be fine.
And then,
sorry, go ahead, Whitney.
What were you saying about local storage?
Well, I was just giving an example that you might have the code topics listed there on the page, local storage, DOM, AJAX, just as separate links. Click on the local storage, and it would take me to a sample page to see how you have implemented local storage. And another link would take you to DOM. Over the course of the semester, they'll start to grow together because in order to develop some complexity, you need to start combining the topics together. Local storage working with DOM, working with AJAX, and whatever combination.
Okay, I guess I'll just see how that develops.
All right. And I'll send us a few screenshots so that you can see.
So for the portfolio submission this week, does it need to be on a website?
Well, to start getting graded for your portfolio, for your code topics portfolio, I'll need to have a link for that so that I can go see your code working, see it in action. Okay. And if it takes a while to get that up and growing, that's fine. This is a 7-week time period where you develop that. Just start building something that's very simplistic for right now.
Okay, thanks.
So, like in-game is that not only has our team created a web app, but we have each created our own individual web app by the end of the semester if we want to get an A in the course?
Well, there's 2 ways to do it. You can create a web app of your own, not anything that's as rich as the team app, perhaps, but it is an example where all of the code topics come together. So some students have done their own web app that addresses each of the code topics. Other students have gone, you can go so far just demonstrating proficiency with a code topic. You can get an agree just purely focusing on one code topic. To get the strongly agree, I want to see it how that you understand the principles well enough to combine it with other code topics. So that can be done in a mini application, or it can be done in just a web page that shows a lot of rich interaction between local storage and DOM and AJAX.
And you promise all that's going to make sense in a few weeks. That's not going to sound like gibberish soon, right?
That's right. In fact, I don't know if I talked about the anxiety level of the class. It will peak at week 4. Because at week 4, you will see off in the distance before you all the things that you don't know, and you'll understand it well enough that you'll think, I can't do this. This is impossible. But then after that, you're going to go, oh, you know what? Local storage really is only about 5 lines of code. JSON is only about stringify and parse. JavaScript objects will take you a little while to get those. AJAX is really only like 10 lines of code to do the most basic of it. And then after that, you'll think it's unlimited what I can do. You'll get excited. You'll get excited around week 6 or 7. Because then you'll see all the jazzy things that you can do with it. But yeah, this is a new class. If you had taken this class because you knew everything, well then shame on you. You should have been taking another class that you could have gained some new knowledge. I don't want you to get an easy A.
Okay.
So you'll be okay. I will send some examples. I actually have some PDF files that we have not provided the students in the past to jumpstart you, because some of the students in this class are at a lower bar. The requirements for this class are being eliminated. So I need to send those out today. I'll do that this afternoon after I get my chores done.
Thank you.
And then I'll send some screenshots, and I might even send a working link that you can click on for some of the junk that I've done. And let me just say, some of the stuff I've got is just junk. I get an idea in my head, I want to go test it, so it's not pretty, but it's the proof of concept. So don't judge me. Any other questions? I want to get out of your way so you can get back to your team meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you bet. You guys, good luck. I am going to mute myself, but I'll leave the volume up. If I hear Brother James, I'll try and get back to my phone and see if there's a question I can answer. Okay, you guys, good luck.
Thanks.
Bye.
Want me to go?
If you're ready.
Okay. So it was about the user interface design and creation, and so I also threw in some user experience with that because they're kind of connected. So obviously you hear terms. I'm sure you've all heard the UI and UX, user interface and experience. Just kind of defining those. I'm sure you all know it's the elements and factors related to people.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I understand how that goes. With the particular environment, the device, so much in this instance, and whether it's a positive or a negative experience, we're obviously going for a positive experience, but it's a user experience is subjective, just because it's focused on use. User interface obviously has to do with how it's designed, but I have a bunch of little examples that are just fun for seeing kind of some good examples of interfacing and user experience apps. But if you want me to, you want me to linger on one, I can, but they're just examples.
Are they examples of mobile apps or these single-page applications that we're supposed to be making?
Some are apps, some are single-page applications. So, but I mean, you can take some of the same design principles into both. Oh, hold on a sec.
Because I found it was really hard to find examples of what a single-page web app looked like, as opposed to a native mobile app.
Well, I mean, you can make it. A lot of times they can look very similar. It's all in just how you want to design it. Because I mean, like this one, you could create an app that looked like this and also a web app that looked like this, with your menu that pops over to the side and your buttons that you click on as you scroll down. So, I mean, I think something like this one, you may not be making a web app like this one. That'd be probably more like a native app. But this one easily would be, it could be like a web app, and you're just scrolling down on the page, and it has different tiles with different information. And same with this one. And this one is another example of like a web app. You just have these as different pages. So like this is Behance, and you have this is like showing the menu. This is just when you're scrolling down. I mean, different examples, but. Anyway, so then I just gathered a bunch of little principles that are kind of good to follow when creating one to just help with the in regards to user interface and user experience. So the first principle was how design should focus on an experience, because people don't always remember the information that's being presented, but they will remember what they feel as they're interacting with it. And so the emotional effect from the information is what the audience will remember. And in order to do that, you have to weave together the combination of text, graphics, layout, interactive elements, all to make sure that they have a good experience, not just a gathering of information. And so that was why, like with the crap app, I want to have like good infographics and different things to kind of keep their attention as they are going through it, which kind of goes to the next point, how people tend to scan websites. They don't really read them, and I'm sure you've all noticed that you do the same thing. You kind of just scan through and grab what you want out of it, and so that's why it's important that we make it scannable, because they're not just going to sit there and just read the material. And so, like, especially with the crap app, it's more of an informational app. So we just need to make sure that we have things that will help convey data and keep their interest. So, because people, if there's different things different sections that catch their interest, then they will switch from reading and scanning. So they'll scan, something will catch their interest, then they actually will read, and then they'll scan until the next point of interest. And the next point was users crave simplicity and clarity, because it takes just as little as half a second for people to decide if they're interested. I know there's many times I'll just barely get to the page and I'm like, nah, I don't care, and I go back. And so we need to make it clear on what it's about and what they're supposed to do once they're there. And so we need to make sure they need preferred actions. It needs to be as obvious as possible. We don't want them to have to really think about anything that they need to do. And so just figuring that into our designs, how to be obvious and make sure they know exactly what they're supposed to do once they get there. And being consistent in the design, reusing components and behaviors, colors, all those sorts of things. They don't have to rethink how things work, which goes into the next point too. If you guys want me to stay on any of these longer, I can. Just let me know if I'm going too fast. But knowing where to get creative and where to use common design patterns, because you want to be careful not to try and innovate new user interface patterns. You want to stick with some of the common ones because people know where those common elements are, like login access is typically located in the upper right, and logos and names tend to be in the upper left, and make sure that links still look like links and buttons look like buttons. Don't be doing something cool. Like sometimes it's, you think it's cool to do something that's different, but cool doesn't always mean that it's user friendly. And so you have to kind of find that balance between being creative and also keeping the usability there. Which is why I was saying earlier how it's the best practice to make sure you do a wireframe before really throwing in any design aesthetic. Just keep a very basic wireframe just to figure out exactly how you want to lay it out first, which I don't know if we'll do that later because it'd be good if we could go whenever we decide which app we're using, exactly how we want to lay it out. But anyways, the next principle is designing to capture someone's attention above the fold rather than designing everything above the fold. The fold being like the bottom of the screen that they're seeing, So, which will vary for every device because the fold for like a laptop is obviously going to be bigger than a mobile device. But since we're just designing for mobile, it's not going to be too big of a difference unless they are using it. I mean, you have the tablet versus a mobile, which will be a little different. But it's important. All the above the fold content's important because that's what they first see, and so it's important that we capture their attention in the above the fold. But we don't need to have every bit of information above the fold. There was a quote that I read from someone as I was doing this that was saying, designing everything above the fold is like a store owner taking all of his products and putting them out on the street with signs on every window saying like sale, sale, just in case they don't come into their store. And so they're making it so they don't feel like they really need to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's good.
So you're basically just wanting to have some good stuff above the fold to capture their attention so that they want to and do scroll down the rest of your web application and experience the rest of it. And then another principle I found was trying to build interactive like stories and how they are built, not so much told when it comes to like web applications and stuff, and trying to make things more interactive so that they're kind of creating the content in a sense, like it's personalized based on the user data that they enter, which we kind of talked about at our last meeting. How with the user data they input kind of depends on the content that they receive, and how they're powerful conversion tools because they feel like they kind of become the main character in what they're using, and how when they are doing an action, it sparks the same neural activity as if they were actually performing it. Just thinking about it kind of helps, and so having like, interactive elements on your web app will help and help with the experience. But at the same time, it's hard you have to not overdo it because you want to keep you want to still keep it minimalistic and simple. Another principle was scrolling is often faster than paging, which is why I like the idea of just keeping this as much to the one page as possible. Just keep it, you have it. Websites tend to be more vertically longer now. Everyone's used to on their phones just scrolling, just continuous scrolling, and it's one of the easier and fastest routes than having to like load stuff, which we are obviously with this, we're just doing, we don't have to load anything, which is the point of like the local data storage and stuff. But Um, and then building a nice responsive design versus just a responsive design. Designing your website or app to have a fluid interface for the varying device sizes, because there are different. You have tablets and phones, and those phones vary a lot in size. Because you've got small ones and you've got very big screen size phones. So you want your app to look as good as possible everywhere, and the best way is making sure that we check after it's made, checking as many devices as possible to make sure it looks nice. I with in regards to like having sandbox code, I didn't really know what I would need to do, because most of this, when it comes to design, like I said, it's usually done in like wireframes and mock-ups and stuff. You would do more in like Photoshop and stuff. So I thought about building one, but anyway, so I didn't really know what kind of code to provide for that. And besides maybe like a basic code, I don't know what you guys think in that regard. But I did have this picture of when you are creating like designs and mock-ups, to make sure that you bear in mind the user interface guidelines, like on like a phone, like so like an Apple phone, you have the pixels at the top where you have the time and where it says there's you know what I mean, the battery on the right or never, and the time in the middle and all that. And then you have pixels for like your the bar in the top of a web app. You know what I mean. And anyways, just keeping in mind those kinds of guidelines when you're designing and creating your mock-ups and stuff. But any thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I don't think your topic really lends itself to code, so I think.
Right.
But that was good. Thanks. So like, when do you think, as opposed to being traditional, when is it good to be creative in user interface?
I think, like I said, you want to make sure that common elements are basically what people are used to. So, like, kind of like when it comes to like navigation bars, using like the hamburger menu, everyone knows that that is where they'll find a menu on the mobile phone usually, and they can click on that and they'll find their navigation bar. And things like the title being at like the top or on the top left or the top center, whichever one, or just and don't try not to like hide things or making them different, making them look like what they should be.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's like, do you like it when you're using a new app or something and it has like a little, like, here's how to use our app, and it like has different arrows that point at things and tell you what they do? Is that like useful or annoying?
I guess it depends on how complex the app is. I'm sure it's sometimes nice to get it if there's a lot of different tabs and things in the app, then it's nice to kind of get a little overview of where things are located. But I would, in my personal opinion, I would hope that in any like app created, it would be straightforward enough that they would be able to figure it out pretty quickly with their own common knowledge.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Can I interrupt again?
Please.
Are you done with this topic? If you want, I just realized I could do a screen share and show you what an idea for a portfolio would look like. If you want me to come back at the end of your meeting, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see it now. Since you're here.
Okay. All right, if you don't mind, and I apologize for hijacking the meeting, I'm going to do a screen share. And, all right.
Oh, okay, there we go. All right, can you see this screen where it says JavaScript DOM, JavaScript arrays?
Mm-hmm.
Back, let me. Oh, I know what I want to do. Okay, let's separate these windows. Okay, so you see I've got a sliding menu here, and over here on the left I just have the various topics. Here's an example of local storage. This is a very boring one. You click this button and you can see the number of times the button's been clicked. You're going to see this example in W3 schools. I did an inspect element here, and here you can see the JavaScript that I've saved in different locations. So now when I hit the click me, you can see the JavaScript, the actual local storage dynamically change. And then read local storage, I just read this test object here. So what I'm going to do with your code, I'm often going to, I'll just run it, and frequently I'll go over here and look at the code, see what you've actually implemented. So on the example of the load local storage here, it's called the onClick function, load local storage, which is right here. So there's an example of what you can do. So that's, you know, just a very simplistic local storage example. And then I have other links here for Ajax samples. You select a country, it goes and reads this file, which is on my server, and it loads that to the screen. Let's see, does this bottom one work? Yes. This one here, I load a file called json.txt, and then I have some bizarre CSS settings that change the colors based on even or odd rows, even or odd columns. Again, this is just me playing around, not necessarily something I'd want from you guys. Let me show you a little bit here. So we have the onChange get country. It's going to call this JavaScript here get country. And again, I believe this is stolen from W3 schools as well. So I take the field that came from from the country drop-down list, I concatenate them together, and then using Ajax, oops, I wanted to highlight that and I can't. Ajax country, I get the response of that file. Ajax is an asynchronous call. You're requesting something from the server. So what I'm requesting here is a file called us.txt. And in fact, over here I can type in, I've realized that some of this is jumping ahead of where you are with what you've learned. I have a file on my server called usa.txt, and that's all it looks like. And when I click it, I wanted to when I click it, this little simple function executes, and it's a two-step process. I request the file Ajax country, and then this is when the results come back, I take the response, which is the content of that file, and I stuff it into a field on my screen that's right below the drop-down list. And again, this is stuff that you're gonna teach each other about it in the coming weeks. This is a fun one for drag and drop. You can grab this image or this draggable field, and I can pop it someplace else. So, all right, that's enough. Here's some CSS and some DOM. I stole this from one of my students from last semester, Betsy Delory. This is a very ugly example using DOM, where I'm dynamically adding a row or dynamically adding a column. Just because I can, just to play around with it. All right, that's all I think I'll show you right now. But you can see I've got this sliding menu, and it just has my sandbox. Pieces of code that I have done some experimenting with on with the different topics of the class. All right, I am going to come back to the class. All right, did that help? Did that make any sense? Let's see, let me quit sharing my screen.
I think so.
No, that was very helpful.
Let's see, how do you quit sharing?
Mine had like a little button at the bottom of the screen.
There's screen share. All right, well, any questions about that? If I were anything else that you'd want to see there that would turn any light bulbs on for you? If you click on my image down there at the bottom of your screen, so that Brother James shows up in your as the main image, then that what I've got there will fill your screen. This was a very ugly example. I was playing with CSS. I won't even explain what I'm trying to do there. This is just how to create a list. And then I can, and using CSS, go ahead.
Sorry, do you have a team project that you could share with us?
Well, again, I don't want to take up too much of your team meeting, but I can grab my spreadsheet from last semester and see if I can find some here really quick. All right, see, fall 2015. All right, let's see, team projects. Let me find something fun here. I'll show you a couple of them. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, can you see? All right, you can see that now. This was an exercise tracker that one of the teams created. So you can enter your exercise goals here. So I'm going to do some random stuff in here. And I'm going to store the results. And see, they put some clever little code in there that makes the store results button wiggle. And now I can show my exercise goal history. And you can see that Brother James has set 3 different goals for exercising. And I'm going to bring this up into an inspect elements. And see, there is the exercise, the goal, the local storage that they saved for the workout. Oh, here's for the goals. So that's how they used local storage to track what the goals were. Now, I'm going to clear those. And that button doesn't work. Okay. Now, here's my performance. This is how well I did. Curl. And I'm going to store those as well. And then here's my performance history for what I have been doing for exercising. And then this click to log workout. You just click that and it saves the date and time that you did your working out. And they have a bit of code. Every 5 workouts you get a pat on the back. Go you. And this was a good example. And you notice it's all on one page. Everything is dynamic. This information here is all pulled from a server. It's just some HTML that they dynamically grab from the server and populate here in this page. Let me grab one more. I don't know what this one is here. Oh, this was a nice one. This was a planning tracker. So you click on the day of the month and you block out your time. So there we just scheduled an appointment. So, and they changed the color of it. Let's see, let's return. And then on the 26th, now when I click on that, it should show that appointment. So they used CSS to do the coloring for today's date and the future dates. And they're using CSS to fade in and to bring in each new month. Let me grab one other example for you. Oh, this was an interesting one. This is the bird tracker. It uses your GPS. Now I'm sitting here on my laptop. And I'm going to record, this is for bird watchers, or for animal watchers. I saw a duck hood. And see, it populated my city there automatically, populated the time. And I can just put a barking dog. And you can see that there are several flags here in my neighborhood, because I've got several sightings. If I click on one, I saw a squirrel jumping on a tree. Here I saw, that was the barking dog. Oh, a couple of barking dogs. So I'll get rid of that. This one, I thought, oh, that's really cool using GPS. It's not that hard. It wasn't that. Sorry, I apologize for my cough.
I particularly like that one because that's when I suggested one of my attempts at this class.
So let me show you the code for this one. Let's see how many files this team used. Well, some of these were free because they were interfacing with Google. So here's the bald eagle tracker, 400 lines of code. Here's the images, which fonts, which is so the JavaScript is actually only 400 lines of code that they used. And let's see, here's their style sheet. And it is 400 lines of code. So nothing too much. And let's see if I've got one more. I'll show you one last one, and then hopefully this is more valuable. This is worthwhile to you. Your time's important. I don't want to take that. So this was a movie library. You can search for Star. So that gets me Star Wars. So they can see what movies they have in their library. Here, let's just look for the letter T. Oh, I wanted more detail. So here's the movies in the library. Just show me the R-rated ones. Oh, good. Brother James does not have any R-rated movies. And then they have the ability to add a movie. I'll do this really quick. Now when we go back to the movie listing, you can see this one here that I added. Okay, so how did that help?
Yeah, we did.
So, Brother James, are all of those using local storage for the information?
Yes, they are. Occasionally, students have used MySQL, but you always have. I don't encourage you to go learn MySQL for the class. That's if somebody knows it, that's great. But you have to use local storage for the application. So, and there you can see the list of movies that they used in the local storage. I just realized this probably would be a great thing to do for a video that I'll post online for the class. In fact, this is being recorded, so I guess I could point them to this. Here's one of my students' portfolios. Here's where she was talking about JavaScript. Showed some code there, explanation of it, and then this is a very simple piece of JavaScript. It just clicking this button calls this function to do an alert. Here's the local storage. Now let's find something. DOM manipulation. Okay, click on an image or words to remove from the list. Oh, okay. So you click on that and it removes the object from the screen. So she has a menu along the top here of the different code topics. And here's how a transformation works. You can rotate, skew, translate, rotate, scale. Okay. All right. Done. Should I leave you alone? Any other questions?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, hopefully that helped. And I think I'll create a little 15-minute video for the whole class to demonstrate the portfolios. I don't know why I haven't thought of that before. So here's somebody else's portfolio that's pretty cut and dried. Nothing too fancy. In fact, I remember this student did not get too good. Most of her examples, oh, I shouldn't show names. Okay, I won't make any comments about it. But it's a very simple menu, and the examples from the code. All right, I'm out of here. I'm actually going to sign off unless I hear a question, and I'm going to go.
Thanks, Brother James.
All right, good luck, you guys. Sorry for taking up so much time.
No problem.
Bye. Okay, does Allie's last one to present, right?
Yeah, and mine is quick and easy because I just really was not even sure what code to teach would look like. So I'm just going to cover some basic stuff real fast.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay, so can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, objects in JavaScript. What's an object? An object is an ordered list of primitive data types and sometimes referenced data types that's stored as a series of name-value pairs. Each item in the list is called a property. Functions are called methods. What's so great about them? JavaScript lets you make your own objects for your own applications. With your objects, you can code events that will fire when you want them. So the code's encapsulated, and it can be initialized any amount of times. It's an object-oriented language, which means that you can define your own objects. You can also assign methods and properties to each object, either pre-written or self-defined. Methods are things that do something. They're recognized by their brackets. When you call them, something happens. Properties are things that are something. They already have a value, like a number, a string, or a Boolean value. When you call them, you get the value. And then there's a link to the test code that came from the, some of the resources. And that is my whole presentation. And I'll make the link live in the folder.
Okay, cool.
And I'll put some code out in the GitHub.
Okay,
Thanks, Sally.
thank you. Any questions for Allie? Okay. So next week, Garrett's going to present on the JS objects, and Dan's going to present on DOM manipulation, and I'll present on CSS3 transitions. And
Well, just let me be clear real quick. When you say next week, you're really just talking about Monday,
yes.
right? 'Cause okay? I just want to make sure I'm on the same calendar here.
Monday at 10 Mountain Standard Time. And I think I put notifications on to show up 15 minutes before. So hopefully that works for everyone. Okay, if that's it, so just try to finish it by 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, the proposals, so that we can submit them. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone.
Okay, thank
Sounds
you.
good. Thanks.
Thanks. See you Monday.
Okay, see ya. Bye.
Bye.